So far, we've been hearing how cinemas are working to deliver us a better movie-going experience. But these days, it seems there are quite a few of us who are happy watching dodgy quality movies from even dodgier downloads directly on our PCs. Clever file-sharing technologies like BitTorrent have allowed online movie sharing to flourish. It's reckoned 500,000 films are traded every day in the darkest cloisters of the net, the so-called darknet. The perpetrators? The new net-savvy generation who laugh in the faces of those who say copyright is theft. Often they're simply bent on getting something for nothing. Some get off on the thrill of metaphorically slapping the Hollywood suits down in the way they did the music industry behemoths.
The movies we love are the work of hundreds of people.
Hollywood's clearly unhappy, and in amongst the public education campaigns, it's been sharpening its knives and wheeling out its even sharper legal eagles. In practice, that's meant action against everyone from movie-sharing individuals, BitTorrent search engines, the internet service providers hosting them, and anyone else who's deemed to be threatening their profits. But could there ever be peace between Hollywood and the hackers? Well, we tracked down the two most powerful voices, one on each side of the divide. We asked them their own philosophies, and also what they thought of their opponents. In the blue corner, Dan Glickman, president of the Motion Picture Association of America, the body that wields the collective political and legal muscle of the Hollywood studios. And in the red corner, John Perry Barlow, lyricist in the US band The Grateful Dead. More pertinently, he went on to co-found the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the pressure group that's placed itself center stage in the fight to keep the digital copyright cops at bay. Gentlemen, let battle commence.
I don't think we'll ever be able to totally defeat piracy. The trick is to stay ahead of it. To make it not attractive to the pirates, to go after them where we can find them, certainly, but at the same time educate the public, especially younger members of the public, that piracy is theft, it's stealing intellectual property, and also to offer alternatives out there in the marketplace so that people can get material in new and innovative ways so they won't want to steal.
Do I think that piracy amounts to theft? Well, if what you're talking about is large, foul-smelling men boarding a ship on the high seas and killing everybody on board and taking the contents of the vessel, yeah, that's theft. If you're talking about a college kid sharing some bit of information, whether it's a movie or a song that he hasn't paid for but is not trying to make any money from, I don't think that's theft. I mean, theft is what happens when you take something from somebody and they don't have it anymore. That's theft. If I write a song and you purloin it somehow, I still have it. And the fact that both of us have it does not necessarily mean that it's less valuable. In fact, if I'm the only person who has that song, it is utterly valueless.
Well, if that's the case, then we might as well copy all music, all books, all software, and just give it to everybody, because after all, they'll have it and you have it, and you'll never have to pay for it. And while that's a very interesting egalitarian concept, it doesn't work very well in the free market economy. And quite frankly, if you did that as a business model, you wouldn't last very long. It would be a good business school case study on how not to do business.
It's widely assumed that you can't compete with free, and that seems like a reasonable thing to think. But this has not been my experience. I mean, I have made a fair amount of money over the years writing songs for the Grateful Dead, who allowed their fans to tape their concerts. And we were in essence competing with material that was made freely available by us, and at the same time doing extremely well at it.
It is ridiculous to believe that you can give product away for free and be more successful. I mean, it defies the laws of nature. Would a clothing store give all their clothes for free? A car dealership give all their cars for free? Of course not. Now, it doesn't mean you don't do some promotions and you don't use advertising creatively, but nobody can make, if they don't make a profit in this world, they're out of business. That's just the laws of human nature.
If I were to encounter Dan Glickman on the street and we were to have a, civilized conversation about this subject, which would be a long shot, I'd tell him to relax. I'd tell him, to spend less of the resources of his industry on fighting the inevitable and more on learning about the conditions that they find themselves in and recognizing the opportunities, which I think are vast and very encouraging. But they can't get to those opportunities until they quit trying to stop progress.
Well, first of all, I tell John Perry Barlow that I'm very relaxed, and if we met each other, we'd probably have a very good time. But all of us kind of need to chill out. The fact of the matter is that people who create content for movies and television have to make a profit. If they don't, you won't see all this wonderful stuff and listen to it. But he is right to the extent that we need to be finding new and different ways to get our content to people, whether it's internet, or whether it's iPod, or whether it's remotely accessed at various parts of the world, or whether it's on machines that we can't even dream about right now. So, and frankly, all of our companies are working very aggressively on this, because if they don't, the consumer will not be satisfied. And in this business, the consumer is king and queen. If you don't make them happy, they won't buy your product.
The good news is that you guys have managed to buy every major legislative body on the planet. But the problem is, the bad news is that you're up against a dedicated foe that is younger and smarter than you are, and will be alive when you're dead, and has historical forces on its side, and is using its technological acumen very adeptly to ward off all of your efforts at control, and you're going to lose that one. I mean, you're 55 years old, and these kids are 17, and they're just smarter than you are. So you're going to lose that one. But the good news is that you guys are mean sons of bitches, and you've been figuring out ways to rip off audiences and artists for centuries, really. And all you got to do is get out of bed a little earlier in the morning for a spell, and you'll find new ways to do this. I have every faith in you, and you should give yourselves a little credit. Instead of howling that you're going to be victimized. That it's not like you to be victimized.
Well, it doesn't look like there's much scope for a dinner date between those two anytime soon. We would like to know which side